Hey, what's good, everybody? Welcome to Fish Fridays. With Lent being here, a lot of people have asked me to step away from meat or at least do some other dishes that aren't so meat heavy. So we're gonna be doing on Fridays some fish dishes. Today I got one of my favorites. It's a piccata dish. I'm using snapper, but you could certainly use shrimp or any other type of fish that you like. Before we get into that, as always, go ahead, drop down, give me a like, a follow, a subscribe, and make sure you hit that notification bell so that you don't miss any of these great recipes. So a snapper piccata. Snapper, if you're not familiar, a semi-dense fish, a little on the lighter side. Again, I'm gonna be using it with the skin on today, but if you don't want snapper, you wanna do something else, whether it be shrimp or salmon or rockfish or whatever kind of fish you like, totally fine, go for it. Now, if you wanna be traditional, you could also do chicken if you're going that route. But like I said, we're gonna be leaving meat out on Fridays for the next couple of weeks. So again, I'm using snapper, and we're gonna use some angel hair pasta just because it's light. It's not as heavy as some of your other pastas, and I wanna try and keep this dish a little bit light. Now, let's get into these ingredients. So for our ingredients today, pretty simple and straightforward. We got a little bit of avocado oil. Now, not traditionally in a piccata, but I'm gonna add some sun-dried tomatoes here, give it a little bit more flavor and color. We've got our capers, shallot, garlic, butter. To keep it completely meat-free, we're using Better Than Bouillon's Italian herb broth. We got my own special spice blend that's gonna be dropping soon, some lemon juice, a little bit of white wine, some parsley, and of course our star, our snapper today. Now I've got the skin still on here. I'm gonna show you guys how you can get a nice crispy skin, how to do it right. It's one of the hardest things to do in cooking, but I'm gonna show you guys how we get it done right. Now, go ahead, get that shallot and garlic minced up and chop up some of those sun-dried tomatoes and we'll get this party started. All right, so crispy skinned fish. To me, there's nothing more flavorful than a great crispy piece of skin, whether that's on chicken or fish, or even crispy fat on a steak. I love it all. There's a lot of flavor in there. There's also some nutrition in there in the fish skin as well. But it is a difficult technique to master. But when you know how to do it right, it's easy. So the first thing that you wanna do is you wanna make sure that that fish is as dry as you can possibly get it. Pat it down with a paper towel. I let mine sit out on a wire rack at room temp for at least 30 minutes, 45 minutes, depending. And that way it's gonna be nice and dry. The second thing is you need a really hot pan. And you need that pan to kind of be big. You want it to be a stainless steel, even aluminum. Aluminum is really good for conducting heat, can get really hot. Stay away from the Teflon, you're not gonna get that crispy skin. But the reason you want that wider pan is because when there's still gonna be some moisture in that fish and in that skin. Moisture creates steam. Steam prevents things from getting crispy and dry because steam is moisture and moisture is not what we want. So make sure it's super dry. Make sure you got a nice hot pan and that it's big enough. Time to get our fish seasoned up. It's been sitting out, it's been patted dry, ready to be seasoned and good to go. Also, our pan should be on a high heat right now on the stove. So let's go ahead and we get this seasoned up. This is my all-purpose blend, salt, pepper, garlic powder, onion powder, some dried thyme, some other spices in there. Wanna make sure we get this on both sides. We'll pat that down and get it nice and fully covered. Once we get both sides all nice and seasoned, we'll be ready to cook. By now, our pan should be nice and hot. We're gonna add in about 3 tablespoons of that avocado oil. You can see that it was super hot as it's sitting there in the pan already. The reason I did is I didn't want the oil to smoke or start to get overheated, but I did want my pan to be nice and hot for when we go ahead and we add in that fish. We're gonna put that skin side down. We want good surface contact here. Look how it immediately crumples up. I should have really put my spatula on there sooner than I did, but here I'm gonna take my tongs and I'm just gonna push and I'm gonna hold this down. You'll see here as I'm holding it, we're making sure we have really good skin to pan surface contact. That's the only way we're gonna be able to get this nice and crispy. We're gonna hold this here for about 30 seconds or so. You can see when I try and lift just a little bit, it pushes back. So again, apply a little bit of pressure. If you have like one of those pan weights, which I don't have, I should probably get those. That'll work really well here so you don't have to hold it, but let that sit for about 30 seconds or so, and then we can take those tongs off and it'll be cooking just fine. After letting our skin cook for about 2 to 3 minutes, you can see where it's turning white down here and the edges are a little bit darker brown. That's a good indication that we're gonna be able to flip this no problem. Look at that, easy peasy. And we've got a beautifully nice crusted colored skin. Just gonna get a little bit of color here on the flesh side. And then what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put this on a baking sheet or whatever you use for your oven. And this is gonna go in the oven at 400 degrees for about 7 to 10 minutes, or your desired temperature of doneness. Using that same pan, add in your minced shallot and garlic. Drop those exact measurements in the description box below. Give that a good mix. Work on medium-high heat here. Medium-high heat. We don't want the pan too hot because we do not want to burn the garlic. Nothing worse than burnt garlic. It'll be bitter and nasty and really just destroy this dish. It's a delicate dish, so we got to be careful with it. So we'll saute that up for about 30 seconds. Give it a good little mix until it's nice and translucent and fragrant. After we let that saute for a little while, we'll go ahead and deglaze with our white wine. Let that reduce for a little bit, making sure, again, we want to get everything up off the bottom of the pan. That's a lot of our flavor right there. Add in those capers and then those sun-dried tomatoes. Give that a good mix to combine. This is where we're going to start to build the flavor for our sauce. The capers are going to provide us with a nice bit of salinity, and we're going to get some acid and sweetness from those tomatoes. Again, let that cook for about a minute or two. We're going to go ahead and add in the first little bit of butter. And again, we're just going to mix this together, still on a medium-high heat. We just want everything to kind of work together. We're going to melt that butter in, give that a good little stir. And again, we're just going to mix to combine here. Nothing crazy, super simple, super easy. Just building the flavor for our sauce, for our dish. I mean, the sauce is the most important thing here, and we're just gonna work at it. After that butter's been incorporated, we'll go ahead and add in just a little bit of our Italian herb stock. Now you can certainly use chicken stock here, vegetable stock, whatever you got. But again, it's Lent. We wanna keep this meat-free, and so I've got an Italian herb stock that we got from Better Than Bouillon. And we're just gonna let this reduce until we get to our desired consistency. Give it a little mix. Again, we want to make sure that we're testing for our seasoning. At this point, you can go ahead, add in more of your all-purpose seasoning, salt, pepper, whatever you like at this point. The sauce comes together in about 2 to 3 minutes, so it's real easy. We'll finish cooking our pasta in the sauce. Remember, always cook that pasta al dente. You still want a little bit of a bite to it. So then when we finish it in the pan here, mix this all together, get all those great flavors in there. Our pasta will be perfect and won't be overcooked. So again, just a quick little mix to get everything combined. Again, one last check for seasoning, because your pasta, again, very starchy, a lot of carbs in there. It will eat up a lot of the flavor in your dish. So once you add your pasta back to your sauce, one more check for seasoning. Make sure it's good. And then finally, I love to finish my sauces with a little bit of butter. Makes everything better, rounds it out, adds a little bit more fat. Now you can certainly add some cheese to this dish if you want. I chose not to today. I just didn't feel like cheese, which is really weird for me. But anyway, add that butter, get that all combined, and then we'll get ready and plate this up. I like a large, shallow bowl to serve this dish in. Something about a large bowl with a wide rim just works for me, but use whatever sort of dish that you like. If you want to use paper plates, that's fine. You want a regular plate or a big bowl, up to you. Anyway, pasta into the bowl. Find that nice, lovely piece of fish. And again, we want to showcase that crispy skin. So we've got that skin right showing on the top there. So flesh side down, skin side up, because you want to show off your technique. Now that we've got our pasta down, we've got that lovely piece of fish that we're showing off. Now we're going to top it with our capers and sun-dried tomatoes. You know, any bit of sauce that's left in the bottom of the pan there. Put some effort into it. Make it look good. Show off your talent, because look, make it look like you put the effort into this dish. It doesn't really take that long, but make it look like it did. We'll finish off with a little bit of parsley here. Give it some color, some brightness, and because that's what people do, they finish it with parsley. And now for the all-around camera angle for you guys, just to get a look at the dish. Again, serve it however you like. This is the way I went. Looks good to me. Let's eat. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is our Snapper Piccata. Again, remember, you can use whatever fish you like. We've got nice crispy skin. If you don't like the skin, you could take that off too. Great flavor on the pasta with that piccata sauce. Let me get some of this fish here. Nice and juicy still, delicious. Okay, go ahead, like, subscribe, and follow. Hit the notification bell. Until the next dish, y'all.